first thing you want to do is build the track that's going to send the villagers up to be dispensed. It needs to be a straight line that's always powered so that when a villager gets sent up, the minecart already has momentum. To build the holder, it's pretty simple. You just need to set up two wool with rails. You need to make sure they're not connected to the middle. Wool on top, dispenser observing the front with the string on it. Then you're going to do a copper bulb underneath with the competitor coming out. That's going to power redstone on top of it. That's going to switch the track whenever there's a villager in the position. Then you just put a rail here, a normal rail in the middle, and a torch to power both. And then you're going to have the rail that returns the villagers. And then on just the first two villagers, you're going to have a piston set up here. This is going to be what decides which direction the villagers get returned to. And then for each villager you want to add, you're just going to build the same exact thing right next to it. It's easier if you use different colors, it just makes it easier to keep track of what spot is like which villager. It is important though, I'll mess it up on purpose here, that you place the bulb after you place the string, or else the signal will be messed up. You can see when you trigger this string, it'll switch the track, and that's what makes sure the villager gets put into the correct position. To make sure the villager doesn't overshoot though, you're going to need to put just one block here that'll stop the villager from overshooting it. And you'll just do this in front of every single holder. And then depending on which villager, I'm assuming most people are going to use librarians, you're going to want to put their workstations right next to them. So if I can find the lectern, you would just put the station right next to them. And when you load the villagers, you want to do it one by one so that they can claim the lectern like right next to their slot so that each one has a workstation. Then you'll just copy this, you'll have 8 on this side and 7 villagers on this side. The next step is to just build a small water elevator at the end of the track. You can make this as tall as you want, so if you want to hide this like under your base, you could make the water elevator just taller, but if you want to just make it as quick as possible, you can just make it one tall. So you'll have the elevator shoot the minecart straight up, get caught on top on here, and then depending on which block is extended, that's how it knows where to return the villager. So you'll just set these up like this. And then you'll put this here, and this will be the return button. The next step is to control these pistons depending on if there's a villager missing from the side or not. So we can do that by adding a torch to the end of each of the holders, which when the light is turned on, it will get turned off by the redstone on top. And you just carry the signal all the way down. And if you have more than 15 villagers, you are going to have repeaters every 15 dust just to make sure the signal gets carried all the way down. And because these are all missing the villagers, that's why all the torches are turned on. You'll send that signal into a block, and then you'll send it straight up on a small elevator. You'll send the signal inwards. You'll end it on top of the piston. And then also hide the internals of the machine when there's not a villager, or when there is a villager here waiting to get sent back. You can add a piston on top of here, with a repeater going into it. What that does is when there's a villager not missing from the side, it'll keep it extended. That way when you hit the return, it'll send it to the opposite side. The next step is to build the redstone decoder that'll interpret the signal from the lectern to choose the right villager depending on which page you're on. So you're going to go to this track right here. You're going to go down 7 blocks. 6, 7. Then you're going to do 15 more. With redstone on top of all of them. You're going to do glass on the side. All the way down. Redstone on top of the glass. You're going to use target blocks on top of the middle redstone. More target blocks over here. Torches on the back of all of these. Repeaters on top of these target blocks. Into any building block. With torches on top of each one. Then you're just going to bring this one down here. And depending on which signal strength this block gets, that's which torch is going to get powered on the line. So we can set up a little test. And depending on which page I'm on, that's the torch that gets powered. So we're going to need to bring the lectern signal up from wherever you have it in the room, down and show you how to take it down if you have the lectern positioned right next to the button. So you'll just pick up the signal through the block. Pick it up with the redstone. Then it might take you a few tries, but you can do the lectern like wherever you want. You just have to mess around with how you set up the comparators to get it on the right block at the end. You can always do like 2 comparators straight into each other if you only need to move it 1. There's also probably a better way to do this, but it's just the way I've been doing it. One problem you might notice is that the way we have it set up now, the block will get updated as soon as you turn the page. It would send multiple villagers and break the machine. So to stop that, we're going to need to only extend the block whenever a villager is not missing from one of the slots. So to do that, you can set up a sticky piston like this, and then you'll just extend this when it's ready to get the signal out. Once we get the lectern signal out, to actually get the torch to power the rails on top and send out the correct villager, it's pretty simple. For the odd numbers, you just bring it out 2. You'll put redstone dust on top, power this torch, and invert that one. And that way, whenever you go for the first number, we can test it by putting the block back. It'll turn that torch on. For the even number, it's not too difficult. You'll just do a block straight on top of that torch, with the torch on the side, block on top of that, and you'll bring it back in so that it lines up with the rail above it. Then you'll just go down the line and you'll keep on doing this for every single villager in the machine. And once you're done, the redstone should just go all the way down like so. And all 15 tracks for the villagers should be connected to the decoder underneath. We can just set up a button. Again, you can set this up anywhere. You just need to follow the logic behind it. So we'll send the redstone signal down from below the button. We'll bring it around like this. Now, if you had it just set up like this, you would be able to send a signal whenever you wanted, even if there was already a villager at the station. So for now, we're going to set up this block like this, with a repeater coming out of it. And that way it'll only send the signal through if this block is in this position. So we're going to do the same lock as before for this one, with a piston on top. Then we're going to pick up the signal from this block, out into the piston for both sides. What this means is that if either side is missing a villager, this block will be extended, so pressing the button doesn't carry the signal through, so no villager gets called. And these torches are all lit up right now just because the villagers are all missing. But if they weren't, block would get retracted. You can see that torch down there getting powered. And that's all the protection you need to make sure that no one breaks the machine by trying to call multiple villagers, because the signal updates so quick you can't really turn to a page and hit the button before it recognizes and extends the piston. Once you have all of that built, you're ready to test the machine and load it with your villagers. All you have to do is go above and make sure that all the tracks are leading in, or that all the bulbs are turned off, both mean the same thing. And then you'll need a lever to power these two pistons back here temporarily. So if you want to start loading on the odd side, you'd retract that one and extend the even side. So if you were loading this not in creative, you could just break this track and send them in from the side, as long as it's just on the straight line. And you want to make sure, if you're doing this in survival, that you're checking with every villager that the track is switching, just to make sure you did everything right and none of them are suffocating. Then when you're done, you can break the levers, and if you did it right, both sides should be pushing out. That means these redstone lines should be turned off, and this block should be up here. Then you can start testing it. So we're going to call the first villager out. Break the lever, but yeah, first villager came out and it worked. Send him back. Second villager came back. So you can see it's working perfectly. Again, if you're in survival, I'd recommend testing it one by one, just to make sure everything works. But I'm just going to randomly select a few and test it. You can see how quickly the piston pushes out after you hit the call button. So it pretty much ensures that no one can spam villagers. You can't it's pretty hard to turn the page that quick and hit the button before the piston pushes out. And when you're done with that, you can just encase the room. And once you've encased the room, if you want to add a light or noise indicator for when you can call the next villager, you just need to go on top. You'll reroute the signal onto a block, invert the signal on a torch, make an AND onto this one, and that way whenever the villager gets returned, it'll invert the torch and turn on the note block. and that tells you when the system's reset and ready for you to call the next one. And then to add the light, you can just go under. Again, you can do it anywhere. You just need to connect it to the same signal. So I'm going to do it like this. Then whenever the light goes out, you're ready to call the next villager. And then if you did want to do like more than just 15 villagers, instead of having a lectern selector, you could use like a binary lever switch. For that you can just search up like a 5-bit Redstone decoder, and you can just have signs with the codes for every villager. And with every lever you add, it's 2 to the power of however many levers. So with each one, it multiplies the villagers by 2. But the Redstone decoder does get a lot more complex